cleared now.
Means it has to roll up somewhere.
Yeah, there are so many choices, I've had a hard time picking it out.
Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting of the Wilson County Board of Education for January 10th, 2022 to order. Members of the board, could we have a motion in regard to the approval of the agenda?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Mrs. Powell,
I move that we approve the agenda for the January 10th, 2022 Wilson County Board of Education meeting.
Second.
it has been moved by Mrs. Powell, seconded by Mr. Breen, that we approve the agenda for January 10th, 2022 Wilson County Board of Education meeting to order. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, let it be known by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Let the record reflect that the motion carries unanimously. Please note that this meeting is being televised on Spectrum and Green Light Channel 20 and live streamed through the Wilson County Schools YouTube channel. The public can also view the meeting through links on the Wilson County Schools Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages, and the Wilson County Schools website. Face coverings are required to be worn during the board meeting. So please make sure you are wearing a face mask, and if anyone is in need of a mask, some are located at the back of the room. I'm going to ask Mrs. Powell if she will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, to be followed by a moment of silence.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And as we meditate during our moment of silence, let's think of all the people that have lost their lives or have gone on to a better place that are no longer with us this year. Thank you.
Members of the board, you have before you the minutes of the December 13th, 2021 regular board meeting. What is your pleasure?
Madam Chair,
Mrs. Barnes?
I move that we approve the regular board meeting minutes of December 13th, 2021.
It has been moved by Mrs. Barnes, seconded by Mr. Breen, that the minutes of December 13th, 2021 regular meeting for the Board of Education be approved. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, let it be known by the sign of aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Let the record reflect that the motion carries unanimously. Next on the agenda is a special presentation to the board.
Good evening, board members.
Good evening.
My name is Karen Carlos, and I'm a science teacher at the Wilson Academy of Applied Technology. I'm also honored to serve as the 2021-2022 Wilson County School Teacher of the Year. On behalf of the entire Wilson County Schools family, I want to thank you and let you know how much you are appreciated. You each bring countless strengths to the table and remain the biggest champions and advocates for our students and staff. Few people realize the huge time commitment you make as board members and all of the many decisions that must be made. You have more than 10,000 students and 1,700 staff members under your watch. Your high standards, work ethic, and love for children have not gone unnoticed here in Wilson County or across the state. In November 2020, you were awarded the School Board Leadership Award from the North Carolina School Boards Association. This is the highest honor a Board of Education can receive at the state level, and one that was very well deserved. What is truly inspiring is the way you work together as a team. In every decision that is made, you come together to ensure that students remain at the forefront. Here is a list of a few accomplishments the board has played a major role in since last January. Keeping the health and safety of students and staff first when making COVID-related decisions. Opening a third WASH center at Hunt High School in collaboration with our incredible partners, and also nominating WASH for a state award, which it won. Reviewing all of the board policies to ensure they are aligned with general statutes and NCSBA policies, which was a huge undertaking. Making major decisions related to updating school and athletic facilities. And I will share one final item that is near and dear to my heart. Though I could go on and on about all your accomplishments, the breaking ground and beginning construction of the new building for the Wilson Academy of Applied Technology. January is Board of Education Appreciation Month, but I'm here tonight to make sure you know that we appreciate you each and every day. Again, thank you for all that you do for Wilson County Schools. I also brought gifts for each of you, some WAT items and something that students in my design club created. So I hope that you all like them. Thank you again for everything that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time with us tonight and for sharing and the gifts and your kind thoughts, and we appreciate them very much. Congratulations on being our Teacher of the Year.
Thank you.
Next is the Chairman's report. Very short and brief tonight. First of all, Happy New Year to those of you that have not been shared those sentiments thus far. And we are happy to be back into our spring semester. It seems that just yesterday we started this school year, and now we're halfway through. Please know that the board committee organization was left at your table space for the upcoming year, and also left at your place was a copy of the remarks that were started but not completed at last board meeting by one of the speakers, and the entire comments are there for you at this particular time for your reading. And that concludes the chairman's report, and I'm going to turn it over to the superintendent for his report.
Thank you, Madam Chair, board members, audience members. I also wanted to thank our board members during Board of Ed Appreciation Month. It is a lot of work and a lot of unseen work that takes place. We've had a chance to celebrate some of that and recognize that earlier, and hope that was a nice break for this evening. But I work closely with each of you, and I get to see firsthand all the work and commitment and the time that you put in and the caring and love that you have for our students and our staff. And so I just want to say on behalf of the administration and staff that we appreciate you and all that you do that's seen and not seen. And it's nice to be able to come to these meetings and have those conversations and work for students and work together as a team. So enjoy your month and enjoy your evening, enjoy your prizes, whatever they are. I'm sure they're great. But again, thank you for all you do, and it's nice to see you recognized. Certainly the work's not going to slow down from here, so might as well enjoy it while you can. So we've just gotten back from winter break. I hope everyone enjoyed time with their family and friends during the holidays. Second semester began last week. I wanted to thank Mr. Breen for the free cups of joy coffee that he provided staff on the first day back. That was a nice treat for our folks. No one's ever going to turn down caffeine. And so it goes fast from here, so I want to encourage our students to really work hard and finish strong. It'll be spring break before we know it, and then it'll be graduation, and we'll be starting all over again. So it goes fast in this spring semester, so don't let it sneak up on you. We had a few teacher work days last week prior to the start of the new semester, and our Refuel mid-year hybrid conference was held for staff on one of those work days. You may have heard some about that. There were about 40 high-quality sessions and had about 436 attendees. That's a pretty good shooting. Session categories covered topics such as instructional best practices and meeting the needs of all learners. So thank you for our presenters and our tech staff for putting that on. That's a nice thing to kind of start the semester off as we get back in the flow of things after a nice break. And on a sad note, but a note of recognition, as most of you know, we lost a really important person in our community on Friday, Captain Reggie Smith with the Wilson Police Department. Our thoughts and prayers go out to his family, the friends, the police department, and everyone who he inspired, which was many of our students. He was a very big part of the Wilson Police Athletic League, which offers those youth camps throughout the year and the summer, but he was also a coach and a mentor to many of our students and a fixture in many of the things that we offered and a great partner. So we're very saddened by his passing, but grateful for his partnership and his legacy, and he'll be missed. So if you see any of his family or fellow officers, if you would be sure to mention our condolences, but our thoughts and prayers go out to them. And that, Madam Chair, is all I have.
Thank you very much. Next is our opportunity for the public to address the board. Please remember that each person is granted 3 minutes for his or her presentation. This portion of the meeting is for the board to hear matters of interest from the public. However, obscene or vulgar statements, personal attacks, and statements reasonably perceived to be disruptive or imminently threatening to the orderly operation of the meeting shall not be permitted. We have 3 persons who have signed up to address the board tonight. The first is Susan Guzman regarding child interpreters.
Good afternoon. I am Susana Guzman, and I am a sophomore at Hunt High School. Today, I would like to talk about the lack of language justice for Spanish-speaking families in the Wilson County schools. A couple weeks ago, I was asked to translate for a new student who hardly knew any English. He was a freshman at Hunt High School, and he recently came to Wilson from the Dominican Republic. Although I love helping out and being there for other people, I don't think the school system should depend on a 15-year-old girl to translate important information to a new student. I even heard several teachers say that they would place the student beside a Spanish speaker in class. I thought to myself I must have heard wrong, but I didn't. These adults who are educators and the school staff at large were taking zero responsibility and placing it entirely to me to provide language justice for this new student. How can this be? How can the school allow for this to happen? I even went as far as to create a poll asking students how many of them had had such experience before. And out of 60 responses, 59 said that they had translated for another student or for the parents of other students. 59 out of 60. That is just unacceptable. For how much longer will you allow this? Child interpretation is illegal. Does Wilson County Schools approve of these illegal actions? I will not refuse to help another student, but at the same time, I will not allow my school to continue to ignore these needs of their students and families. If you have a budget of $116,000 for interpretation services, why don't you hire 2 full-time interpreters? Are those funds just sitting somewhere while the school system ignores the need of more than 22% of their student population, or will you continue to rely on a 15-year-old girl to do the work for you? I hope not. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is Flora Herrera Picasso, Spanish-speaking families of Wilson County Schools.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Flor Herrera Picasso, and I am the Executive Director of Casa Azul de Wilson. We are excited to start 2022 with positive energy and passionate dedication to the Latinx families of Wilson. After several months of consistently coming to these meetings, we have made a realization. We have talked the talk and not walked the walk. We very much want language justice for the Spanish-speaking families of Wilson County Schools. We come to this space speaking about the importance of it and what it would mean for more than 20% of the student body that come from bilingual households. Yet we do all of this in English. None of this is translated or given in Spanish, so I will walk the walk and I will give the rest of my presentation in Spanish for them, for my community. Casa Azul de Wilson es una organización sin fines de lucro que está dedicada a ayudar a los jóvenes latinos en sus aplicaciones para el colegio o la universidad. Estamos aquí luchando para colaborar con Wilson County Schools y pensar cómo solucionar muchos problemas que afectan específicamente a las familias hispanohablantes. Uno de ellos es la falta de personal bilingües en las escuelas y otro es la falta de intérpretes. Reconocemos que es muy difícil crear el cambio con solo un puño de personas. Necesitamos que toda la comunidad ponga su granito de arena para alcanzar lo justo y lo necesario. Quiero decirle específicamente a los padres de estudiantes que están en el grado 12, que están a punto de terminar su carrera en la high school, que nos busquen. Estamos en Facebook, en Instagram, pero también pueden agendar citas con mi hermana Elizabeth Herrera. Ella es una consejera con mucha experiencia, le ha ayudado a cientos de estudiantes a hacer estas aplicaciones y creo que se las sabe hasta de memoria. No tienen que batallar o hacerlo solos. Casa Azul de Wilson está aquí de ahora en adelante para ustedes. Gracias.
Thank you. Elizabeth Herrera, regarding FAFSA completion rates in Wilson County Schools.
Good evening and Happy New Year. My name is Elizabeth Herrera from Casa Azul de Wilson. As the new year begins, I would like to continue to bring awareness to the free application for federal student aid, also known as the FAFSA, and the completion rates in Wilson County. As we know, the virus COVID-19 really hurt not only Wilson's but counties across the state as we continue to see the lowest numbers of FAFSA completion rates. As of now, according to myfuturenc.com tracker, Wilson County schools, including Bedingfield, Hunt, Fike, Wilson Academy of Applied Technology, and Wilson Early College, have submitted a total of 221 FAFSAs as of December 17, 2021. The entire senior and super senior population in Wilson County schools is about 665 students. Therefore, only 33% have completed FAFSA. This is also keeping in mind that FAFSA completion is highly recommended for any student entering community college as well, if they are looking to receive any federal financial aid. I would like to ask if there will be any students, for any additional events for students to have the opportunity to complete the FAFSA at their respective schools this semester. If not, how can I be of assistance in potentially coordinating 1 or 2 events from now until March 1st, which is the priority FAFSA deadline for many colleges and universities. Other deadlines to be in our radar are the regular decision deadlines. UNC Chapel Hill, UNC Greensboro, North Carolina State University, and North Carolina Central University, regular decision deadlines are January 15th. and Appalachian, UNC Charlotte, and UNCW, or UNC Wilmington, deadlines are February 1st. Consistently for the past 5 years, FAFSA completion rates have declined in Wilson County schools. This is a free application for federal student aid that isn't being claimed by our students. We want our students to have as many opportunities as possible to feel our support and guidance as they walk through uncharted waters. Our Spanish-speaking seniors need extra support as many of their parents do not speak English nor have gone through the process before, and this is where Casa Azul can help. If any parent or student would like Spanish or English support, they can always schedule a one-on-one appointment with me at calendly.com/IZA, Casa Azul. Si cualquier padre, cuidador o estudiante quisiera más información sobre cómo aplicar para el colegio, la universidad o recibir ayuda financiera, puede hacer una cita por teléfono o correo electrónico y el número es 919-391-8166 o puede mandar correo electrónico a isa.casazuldewilson@gmail.com. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much. Members of the board, the options before you in regard to the persons addressing the board are: 1, to direct the chairman to respond to the concern on behalf of the board, to direct the administration to respond to the concern, to refer the matter to a board committee, to refer the matter to the administration, or to place the matter of concern on the agenda for a future meeting. What is your pleasure?
Madam Chair,
Mrs. Powell?
to let the administration respond to the actual output.
I agree.
All right. Dr. Mills and administration, we're going to ask you to respond to the speakers who have come before us in regard to the matters that they brought forward.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Next on the agenda are the committee reports, beginning with the Instructional Services Committee. This committee met this afternoon. We had 11 policy revisions, as well as board notification regarding contracts, and we had one action item regarding the proficiency summer school for this summer. We'll first get to the contracts regarding board notification. Each of you is aware that contracts up to the amount of $90,000 do not require board approval, but allows the superintendent to be authorized to enter into those contracts. There were 3 contracts that were brought forward. The first was Encore Technology Group, providing Plum Explorer and Plum Pack services in the amount of $46,860.39. This is the last of funds under the program report code 128, and this is completing technology devices for the system at this point in time, involving mobile cellular antennas and other equipment that will allow utilization of our technology on things such as field trips, or when there is a need for outside instruction, and if the technology is needed, which is serving as kind of a hot spot to allow our technology to be utilized. The second was a language line solution that is for interpretation services, not to exceed $85,000. This will allow us to be able to provide language translation services of some products in Spanish, as well as for one-on-one interpretation as needed for our system. And the third is a soft choice, which is the annual Microsoft 365 license renewal for the system in the amount of $68,192.19. Are there any questions in regard to these three particular contracts? Hearing none, we'll move on to the revised policies. Please know that these are all first read policies, so they will come before us at the next meeting. We entertained questions in regard to 6 of the policies that were presented. Mostly after the inquiries, it was found that just minor changes and some of the things were just asking for clarification. So if you have any particular questions in regard to revised policy 3420, student promotion and accountability, revised policy 4700, student records, revised policy 4720, survey of students, revised policy 5022, registered sex offenders, revised policy 6320, use of student transportation services, revised policy 7100, recruitment and selection of personnel, revised policy 7130, licensure, revised policy 7340, employee dress and appearance, revised policy 7530, military leave, revised policy 8310, annual independent audit, or revised policy 9000, planning to address facility needs. If you have any questions regarding any of these policies at this time, we will entertain those questions. And if you choose to provide any additional information or questions to the administration, please do so prior to them coming to us for a second read. So the chair will entertain any questions or comments that you may have in regard to these policies. Hearing none. Mr. Mercer, I'm going to turn the meeting over to you for a moment because there is an action item that comes before us that I will be making a motion in regards to.
Yes, ma'am.
In regard to the action item, Proficiency Summer School 2020, each year we have to present a plan to the Department of Public Instruction in regard to our Proficiency Summer School. This is the opportunity that allows our students, once they have taken the end of course, end of grade test, if they have had difficulty and have not proven to be proficient, the state allows us to have remediation as well as retesting for those students in the areas of grades 3 through 8 math, grades 3 through 8 reading, grades 5 to 8 science, and English 2, North Carolina Math 1, North Carolina Math 3, and biology, and extend 1 for grade 10. Before you is the information that remediation will take place on Monday, the 6th of June, because we are required to do this outside of the instructional time. Remediation as well to be offered on June the 7th, based on student need, and on June the 8th will be the testing for these particular courses as indicated. It will be from 7:30 to 12 at the high school level. The times will be from 8 to 1 at the elementary level and from 8:30 to 1:30 at the middle school level. So the plan that will be presented to the Department of Public Instruction is what is before you. And on behalf of the Instructional Services Committee, I move that the board approve the proficiency summer school plan as presented by the administration.
A second.
It's been moved and properly seconded that the full board approve the proficiency summer school 2022 as recommended by administration. Any further comments, questions? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. It carries unanimously. Madam Chair, the meeting is yours now.
Thank you. Next is the Administrative Services Committee meeting, and Mr. Mercer, turn this over to you.
Yes, ma'am. Administrative Services Committee met this afternoon, had one information item and 3 action items, and the information item was Wilson County Schools COVID-19 updates. And Dr. Williams, will you summarize the information, please?
Yes, sir. Madam Chair, members of the board, tonight I will summarize our information from our COVID updates today. From the information on the website that has been updated with the current protocols from DHHS and the K-12 toolkit. Our testing information at the WASH Center is still correct. You have your dashboard information from starting in September. I will go over the dashboard information for 1/10/2022. These were the COVID cases as of this morning prior to the Administrative Services meeting, committee meeting this afternoon. At that time, we had 29 positive cases, active cases for staff, and 108 positive cases for students. We had 2 staff contacts from those cases and 69 student contacts from those cases as of this morning. That'll be updated again tomorrow morning with today's cases, as they are every day. Wilson County Health Department. Your Wilson County Health Department data is present from September up to today's meeting, and I will go over the information that was shared from the Health Department today. For 1/10/2022, the average cases for the last 7 days is 148. At the time we got this information this morning, the percent of tests that are positive was 30.5%, but as of this afternoon at the Administrative Services Committee, that number had moved to 33.6%. The percent of population with at least 1 dose of vaccine is 54%. The percentage of population over 12 years old that was fully vaccinated was 58.8%. The percent of population over 5 years old fully vaccinated was 53.9%. And the percent of population over 18 that was fully vaccinated with a booster was 28%. And the Health Department did note that the Pfizer booster is now available for ages 12 and older. I will go over the update that was in the toolkit. There was an update to the toolkit on January the 7th, 2022. And in that update, I will summarize the changes for isolations and for quarantines. The isolations for those who have had a positive test is now 5 days, and they can return on day 6 if symptoms have improved and they are fever-free for 24 hours without fever-reducing medication. A person who's been identified as a close contact, that quarantine was changed from 10 to 5 days as well. They can return on day 6 if they are not displaying symptoms. There are 3 ways by which someone would not be identified or would not have to quarantine if identified as a contact. If everyone was properly masked, if the individual who came in close contact with a positive person has had COVID in the last 90 days, or if you are 18 and older, fully vaccinated and had a booster, or you are 18 and older, fully vaccinated and are not eligible for a booster. Those that are 12 to 17 and have had a vaccination, the booster is not required, and you would not have to, booster is not required to not quarantine. You would not have to quarantine. So those were the changes to the toolkit in regards to isolations and quarantines. At this time, we have no classrooms or schools that are remote. We have no athletic teams that are quarantined at this time. The last item that I shared in regards to the COVID updates was the indoor athletic protocols. The toolkit does not specifically address athletics, and each LEA determines how they will operate with their athletic protocols. We had an indoor athletic protocol guidance that was put out just at the start of the winter season. In that athletic protocol, or that athletic guidance, masks were to be worn at all times, with the exception of actively engaged in strenuous activity on the court, on the mat, or in the pool for a swimmer. With the update to the toolkit, when someone returns from isolation or from quarantine, they have to adhere to 5 days of strict mask use after they return. In the building, we're required to wear a mask inside. So Wilson County Schools has a mask requirement, so therefore inside the schools, masks are required. For athletics, what this would mean is that a basketball player or cheerleader, when they are doing a routine on the floor, if they are returning from isolation or from quarantine, would have to wear a mask for 5 days while they're participating in the activity. Swimmers, our health director, Ms. Ellen, has said that when someone is required for the strict mask use for 5 days after returning from isolation or quarantine, that it is allowable from the health department to swim, get out, and then put their mask back on, so they would allow that from the health department. Wrestlers would be able to mask and watch practice or watch a wrestling match, but they're not able to wear a mask while they're actively wrestling on the mat, so therefore they would not be able to engage on the mat in practice or in a match for 5 days after returning from a 5-day isolation or quarantine. And those were the updates for this month for our COVID-19.
Thank you, Dr. Williams.
Yes, sir.
Any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, let's move to the action items. First one being face coverings. The committee discussed, and it was consensus with the committee that since we had said earlier we would look at the circumstances, and we have not met what we considered a proper level of positive testing to be able to stop requiring masks. So our resolution that we passed back, might have been September, I almost believe.
Yes.
And it was recommended that we continue with the resolution. That being said, I move that on behalf of the Administrative Services Committee that we approve the continuing requirements of masks as set out in the resolution of the Wilson County Board of Education.
Second.
It has been moved by Mr. Mercer, seconded by Mrs. Powell, that we continue the resolution as passed in September by the Board of Education to continue the requirement of face coverings by employees, students, and visitors within Wilson County Schools. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, let it be known by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Let the record reflect that the motion carries unanimously. Mr. Mercer?
Thank you, ma'am. Our second action item is the 2021-2022 budget resolution. And as I understand it, this is a requirement by the state of North Carolina that board has to approve a budget resolution before expenditures can be made on the new budget. And we've not been, I think just before Christmas break, we received state budget, this being our opportunity. So with the information you have received, and hopefully have an opportunity to read the budget resolution by agreement among the committee, was that it should be approved as recommended by the school board. Any discussion? As the administration. Hearing none, on behalf of the Administrative Service Committee, I move that we approve the 2021-2022 budget resolution as recommended by administration.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Mercer, seconded by Mrs. Powell, that we approve the 2021 budget resolutions as presented by the administration for current expense fund, capital outlay fund, child nutrition fund, before and after school care program fund, and the local special revenue fund. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by the sign of aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Let the record reflect that the motion carries unanimously. Mr. Mercer?
Thank you. Our third and last action item was the 2022-2023 calendar for budget development. There was a calendar presented to us, and during the discussion, it was agreed that it would be beneficial to us as well as the county commissioners to have a joint meeting on February the 3rd at the Ag Center at 6 o'clock. And so that was added to this calendar. Any discussion or comments regarding the calendar that was recommended? Hearing none, Madam Chair, I move that the school board approve, as recommended by the Administrative Service Committee, the budget calendar as amended for the 2022-2023 budget calendar, and as it was recommended by administration.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Mercer, seconded by Mrs. Powell, that the full board approve the budget calendar for 2022-2023 with the amended date of February the 3rd to be added to that calendar. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, let it be known by the sign of aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Let the record reflect that the motion carries unanimously.
That concludes my report, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mrs. Barnes?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
and board members, I move that the Wilson County Board of Education go into closed session to consider confidential personnel matters as provided in North Carolina General Statutes 143-318.11A1 and 6 and 115C-319 through 321 to consider confidential student matters as provided in North Carolina General Statutes 143-318.11A1 and North Carolina General Statutes 115C-402 and the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act 20 U.S.C. 1232G to consult with the Board of Education's attorney to reserve the attorney-client privilege as provided in North Carolina General Statutes 143-318.11A3.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved by Mrs. Barnes, seconded by Mr. Breen, that the Wilson County Board of Education go into closed session to consider confidential personnel matters as provided in North Carolina General Statutes 143-318.11A1 and 6 and 115C-319 through 321. To consider confidential student matters as provided in North Carolina General Statutes 143-318.11A1 and North Carolina General Statutes 115C-402 and the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act 20 United States Code 1232G to consult with the Board of Education attorney to preserve the attorney-client privilege as provided in North Carolina General Statutes 143-318.11A3. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, let it be known by the sign of aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Let the record reflect that the motion carries unanimously. We are adjourned to closed session.